Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And there was a bunch of class tuning adjustments that are coming in hot on Tuesday. I did a video covering all of these changes. Today's video, we're going to be looking at these changes, then applying them to my currently active tier list and readjusting where I think the specializations could likely land and fall in terms of their potency. This was my tier list prior to these changes. So again, we will be adjusting it. And as always, if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, educational and entertaining content, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. But let's get started. Frost Mage, S+ tier. I don't think it's moving. They're buffing Frostfire, but you're probably still just not even going to change anyways. But they didn't nerf you whatsoever at all. I think you're still Giga strong. It's mostly, again, just double Ice Barrier, Invis, double Invis with Alter Time. These are like moments in time where you can just immune singular moments of burst, which is just incredibly valuable in the current meta. Highly durable. 2 Ice Blocks is really strong. Double Blink and being able to get out of stuns. Before you had to choose double Shimmer and 1 Blink, and now you get double Blink. So it's just a lot of stuff stacking up together with Frost Mage that's making it very strong, but it's going to stay in the same spot. Beast Mastery Hunter, I think, is also remaining in the same spot. It's just very straightforward, powerful, and effective. Just gets a ton of damage out with such a low cooldown on Bestial Wrath. Windwalker Monk, I think, is also staying in the same position. We don't see any changes applied to it, although its defense is kind of shaky in some situations, but I do think its overall pressure is likely still going to remain close to this S+ tier position, maybe S+, somewhere in that range, but definitely still towards the top. Preservation Evoker is the healer getting nerfed the most notably. They're targeting your throughput by 5%, nullifying Shroud down to 3. However, Verdant Embrace is 2 charges, and its cooldown is reduced based on your haste. So you get a lot of it still. Even though this is a great change, you still get it a lot. So you're still going to be able to immune a lot of crowd control is my expectation. The instant healing on Dream Breath, maybe layered on top of the 5%, might be noticeable, but I still think the heal over time effect is mostly where the big allocation is here. I think Prez at worst wiggles down here, but might still be in the S+. I think at worst is somewhere in here between the S and the S+. Prot Paladin is getting a 10% damage nerf, but I still think it's S+. They targeted Ret Paladin pretty heavily on their cooldowns, but with Prot, they just gave them a blanket nerf, and they needed to be targeted almost, I think, the same ability, honestly, as Prot to Ret. Prot is still just because it giga ton of cooldowns, and its one-shot is probably still going to one-shot even despite the 10% nerf, and your damage was irrelevant outside of that anyway, so you don't really care about it getting 10% nerfed. I think it's still going to be S+. Arms Warrior received a very minor nerf. I just want to review it again exactly. Yeah, it was just 3%. I really don't think that's going to move you too much. I think you're probably going to be just in the exact same position. If Prez does get weaker, you'll be better, but Mage and Hunter are still very good, which are very tough for you to deal with. So I don't think you're going to move too much, but your damage is still, I think, justifiably keeping you in the same position. Enhancement Shaman is a coin flip. So there was apparently a major bug causing them to do too much damage, and they're addressing that bug. We don't know by how much of a threshold this is going to lower your damage or not. Maybe you go back totemic, and then it doesn't even really matter. Bloodlust is getting a tiny nerf by 5% on top of this, but it really depends on how big this bug is. This is the most difficult spec, I think, for me to predict as far as its movement. I think it's probably still safe to leave it here, but like maybe A+. I could see it wiggling down, but I think we're going to leave it where it is. Marksmanship Hunter, I don't believe is receiving any changes. It still just does really good burst damage. Has a little bit of weakness as far as like getting focus fired in some cases, but I think it's still really good. I think that I'm likely going to be leaving it there. I think, like, worst case, I could put it down on A+, but its one-shot potential is really high. Devastation Evoker is not receiving any changes. We don't really see a lot of it. Maybe I'm ranking it too high for, like, solo PvP environments. Like, maybe it's A+ only. Is it really on the Shadow Priest Aflock tier, though? Do I really think it's on the Shadow Priest Aflock tier? I think it's better. I think I'm just gonna leave it where it is. Resto Druid, we see no changes. I could see it maybe grabbing up the #1 spot or being very close with Prez. I think leaving it here is probably a safer bet than anything at the moment. Outlaw Rogue, I think it's still really good, and I think A+ is still exactly where it needs to be. It's not. I don't think it's getting any changes. I'm pretty sure it's not. Yeah, Outlaw Rogue is just good. I think it's actually still really good. Now, Ret Paladin, though, this is a big guy. This guy, I think they should have reverted the 15% damage nerf to your overall damage. It's kind of like what they're doing with Prot right now. Instead of doing that 15% blanket nerf, they should have done what they did on this update, which was target your burst damage, which is your Templar's exaction It's getting nerfed by 50%. But this nerf with no compensation to your sustain and just kind of like weird hero tree rebalancing towards Herald because of these PvE changes that are coming in. Like, I just don't see this being huge for PvP. I think you're probably going to fall a lot. I'm going to at least drop you down to A, but you might fall worse than that. We have to wait and see. And again, this is assuming the changes go in as intended and aren't bugged. I mean, look at Enhance, for example, right? It was bugged and now it's doing too much. So that wasn't exactly where its intended landing point was. So I think at least it's dropping down one tier, but it could be dropping more. Subtlety Rogue, I think it's getting like a Deathstalker buff. I don't know if it's enough that you would switch though, in terms of hero talents. It's just, you don't care about Shirk and Storm damage. I think you're probably just going to be riding the same position that you were previously. Frost Decay is the same. There's no changes. Although the changes of the other classes, how do they impact you? 3% nerf on Warrior is probably not enough to be moving Death Knight in terms of the tier too much. Fury Warrior, I think, is really good. It's solid spot. Should probably stay in the same position that it's at. It's not receiving any changes. I think in PvE it is. I'm just going to double check here just to be sure. But yeah, not in PvP. None of these changes are coming through in PvP. I think it's just still really good. Feral is getting a 4% damage buff. I think Feral could be creeping up into S. Creeping up a little bit. Just a tiny bit. I think I'm going to do it. I think Feral is going to be creeping up a bit. I think it already kind of was. And maybe with Enhance, if Enhance comes down a bit, Feral might replace it. But it's still very complicated, so I don't think a lot of players will pick it up just because it's more complex in terms of getting results. But I think it is definitely worthy of being up here. Devourer or Demon Hunter, this is maybe bold, but I'm going to put it on S+. It's not getting any changes, so it's just going to completely one-shot, so it might be the spec to be paired up with a Warrior now instead of Enhance, possibly. So like S+, I think for Devourer is actually fair for them. Shadow Priest is getting some hero tree balancing. I don't know if Halo is enough to make you really good, although I do think Shadow is decent. I do. I think I'm going to leave it on A+ at least. I think it actually is really good. It's not as good as these guys, but I think it is really good. Affliction Warlock is the same deal. I think it's actually increasingly becoming better. Depending on how hard these nerfs to Enhance hit, might be good for you. But at the same time, Havoc is getting buffed. So I do think these dot-based casters might feel weaker, especially if there's a big uptick in Havoc, which I kind of expect there will be. So I think leaving these guys here is safer for now for prediction, and then we'll move it when we get to it. And I think it could move down ultimately, though, if Havoc is more viable. Boomkin, it kind of depends on if Starfire cranks or not. So they're giving them 20% more damage on Lunar Calling for Starfire. If Starfire absolutely rips, Boomkin could be kind of crazy. I'm going to try it. I think it's probably better to just leave it where it is, which is it's just good but not insane. But if Starfire rips, then it could be jumping up into S tier. Mistweaver, nothing's happening. I think you just stay in the same position. Discipline Priest, when it comes to solo content, I've been farming on this guy. As Void Weaver, I've been absolutely munching and enjoying it. I'll leave it on A+ for now. I think the kit on these is a little bit more consistent, but it's definitely worthy of being in the upper ranks, I think, for the healers. Havoc Demon Hunter, I am going to be bouncing up. I don't know if you'll play Eldraki or not with the buffs that are coming in, but it's a lot of damage on Eldraki. The extra 10% on Death Sweep. I'm giving you a little bit of a jump. You guys are kind of taking Ret Paladin's position on A+ tier. I think at least a little bit of a jump. Maybe not too much, but at least a little bit. Unholy, I don't think is moving. I think you're still going to have a hard time with Warriors and the Windwalkers. We don't see any nerfs to those, the BM Hunters. I think you're still going to struggle in that environment. Assassination Rogue, though, will likely jump. It's getting quite a lot of damage on Deathstalker. I think for sure you're going to be playing Deathstalker. It's just so much throughput on all of your main abilities that I think you're certainly going to be swapping over. So for me, Assassination Rogue is getting a lot better. Survival Hunter, actually had Paradise 1. It was a multi-rank 1 Survival Hunter in my stream this morning, saying that he likes the changes. He thinks it'll be better after it, with the direct damage on takedown getting nerfed, but everything else getting buffed by 6%. I still don't think its position's going to move on the tier list, but I was worried that it could like fall into the abyss if 6% wasn't enough to compensate, but he seems to think it's okay, and he mains the spec. Maybe it could use a little bit more with how good Beastmastery and Marksman is relative to it, but it's a wait and see. I have Ellie on A, but maybe it should have been A+. I actually think Ellie is really good. Maybe it's slept on a bit, even between Stormbringer and Farseer. I think Farseer is good when you're fighting Acid Rogues, a lot of stuns and stuff like that, but when you can actually get Stormbringer off, it does so much damage. It's definitely not the same tier as Fire. So like Ellie, they're nerfing your Ascendance, but they're buffing your damage outside of it. I don't know if it'll be enough outside of it, although Farseer for sure will get better. I think I'm going to jump it up just because of Farseer. I do think maybe Stormbringer might get nerfed a little bit. It depends on if this Lightning Bolt buff applies or not. Actually, that Lightning Bolt buff on Stormkeeper is big. I'm taking that back. Ellie should be better. This is going to be a lot of damage on Stormkeeper, and this is going to be a lot of damage for Farseer. And then the Ascendance nerf is like, your Mastery already kind of sucked anyways, so as long as you're stacking Haste, you should be fine. I think Ellie will feel at least A+. Fire Mage, I'm dropping it more. I think Fire Mage, what exactly did they do? I think they give you more fireball damage again, didn't they? Pretty sure. I don't think it's enough. And the Meteor thing, I don't know if that's enough either. I just don't see this being enough. So I think Fire Mage, is it the worst caster? Maybe not the worst. You're still a mage, but you're definitely, I'm dropping you a tier. Demonology, they're buffing some spells that are nice, but I don't know if it's by enough. Like Hannah Gul'dan's going to hit for very minor amount increase, and I don't know if this is enough for you to switch hero talents or not. It really just depends on if it is, but if it's not, then you're just in the same spot, which I don't think is that great. I would actually drop you here. I think on my tier list before, I think I underrated Destro too much. I just think Destro is much higher than this. Guardian, Blood, Brew, I think just stay in the same spots. They just do good damage. The tanks are all very close in terms of competitive nature. Holy Priest and Holy Paladin. I think Resto Shaman should be up here actually, and Holy Paladin should be down here. Holy Paladin I think is the worst healer. The changes to mana, I don't know how much it'll matter. Like it's both Holy Priest and Holy Paladin are getting like some mana buffs. I mean it's nice, but I don't know, again, maybe more in threes, but in shuffle and solo queue environments, I don't really feel like I've seen a lot of games decided 100% on mana. I think throughput and struggling not to die is the biggest issue for Paladin. Holy Priest a little bit better with its throughput, consistent throughput, but in Resto Shaman definitely I think is worth stepping up at least a tier above Paladin. Destruction Warlock, I don't think I should have put down here. I should think Destruction after the changes come in is probably A+. They're buffing your Conflagrate, your Incinerate, your Chaos Bolt and Soulfire already hit pretty hard at that point. But you might still struggle with these guys. It really, again, depends on how much Enhance is being brought down. A lot of the rogue specs are going to be annoying for you too. Like between Asa and Havoc, these guys might not feel that great, especially if there's a big sizable uptick on them or not. But they're probably not going to feel that great. Arcane Mage, I think, is still in this tier. It still just struggles to cast. Although it has more lethality than Fire, in my opinion, which makes them more equal on the tier. But it's just tough to actually get the setups properly to execute on enough damage. Vengeance Demon Hunter, I have it as the weakest tank. Honestly, the tanks are all really close. It might not be that bad. I'm going to leave it there, but I really think the tanks are actually probably pretty close in terms of potency. And then Og, you guys are just continuing not to get too much attention. I think you guys are probably still riding. Maybe you're not this bad. You're probably B tier or something. Like you're towards the bottom and not completely out of it. But that's kind of where I'm vibing at the moment here with the changes. Just wanted to give you a quick little fun. It's just an update. It's a prediction based on the changes. Obviously, when it goes live, we'll reassess and upload again and move things around, but this has been my experience so far. So thank you guys very much for watching the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown and the discussion, and I will see you on the next one.